was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our...
This ranks as one of the most shocking exchanges I've witnessed in U.S. politics. Just minutes into a live Senate appearance, Senator Rand Paul utterly demolished Representative Ilhan Omar, laying bare her inconsistencies and leaving her fumbling for words on national television. I'm talking completely rattled, silent, visibly shaken, the full package. If you're fed up with politicians who evade facts and always spin their way out, hit subscribe immediately because this no-holds-barred analysis of raw confrontation is exactly the kind of content you need.
In a town where we have a lot of people who are refugees who have come, some from Somalia, some from Bosnia, I've never heard one of them say that America's a terrible place or be unappreciative of our country. Most of them are thankful. I've met people who've come here from behind the Iron Curtain that got away from communism. They're some of the best Americans we have because they really appreciate how great our country is. And then I hear Representative Omar say, "Oh, America's a terrible place. I'd love there be justice, and there's no justice here." And it's like, well, she came here and we fed her, we clothed her, she got welfare, she got school, she got health care, and then lo and behold, she has the honor of actually winning a seat in Congress, and she says we're a terrible country. I think that's about as ungrateful as you can get. And so while I'm not saying we forcibly send her anywhere, I'm willing to contribute to buy her a ticket to go visit Somalia. And I think she could look and maybe learn a little bit about the disaster that is Somalia, that has no capitalism, has no God-given rights guaranteed in a constitution, and has about 7 different tribes that have been fighting each other for the last 40 years. And then maybe after she's visited Somalia for a while, she might come back and appreciate America.
Frankly, I don't know why the president felt the need to tweet on this subject at all. You know, when you argue with a fool, you just prove there are two. And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider them to be fools. They hate America. They think America was wicked in its origins, and it's even more wicked today. They ought to be thanking America instead of calling America evil and wicked and racist. But this is America, and they have the right to their opinion. But I don't like to see the president even dignify their point of view. Besides that, I think that the Squad, as they call themselves, they are destroying the Democratic Party. You know, when your opponent is screwing up, don't interrupt him. Let him go. I mean, just looking at this from a political standpoint, if I didn't know better, I would think the members of the Squad were GOP plants. I mean, they think that illegal immigration, socialism, higher taxes, abortion are all moral goods. They think America, Israel, free enterprise are moral bads. That's not what most Americans believe. And that's kind of where I am on the subject. The president has explained his position. He has said, look, here's what I meant. If you're not happy living in America, leave.
Omar laughed that Americans speak of Al-Qaeda in a menacing tone and remarked that you don't say America with this intensity. You say Al-Qaeda makes you proud. Al-Qaeda makes you proud. You don't speak that way about America. And at a press conference just this week, when asked whether she supported Al-Qaeda, that's our enemy. That's our enemy. They are a very serious problem that we take care of, but they always seem to come along somewhere. She refused to answer. She didn't want to give an answer to that question. Omar blamed the United States for the crisis in Venezuela. I mean, think of that one. And she looks down with contempt on the hard-working Americans, saying that ignorance is pervasive in many parts of this country. And obviously and importantly, Omar has a history of launching vicious anti-Semitic screeds.
This debate today, it's about who gets to be an American. What opinions do we have to be counted as Americans? This is what this debate is about, Madam Speaker. There is this idea that you are a suspect if you are an immigrant, or if you are from certain parts of the world, or a certain skin tone, or a Muslim. It is no accident that members of the Republican Party accused the first Black president, Barack Obama, of being a secret Muslim. It is no accident that former President Donald Trump led a birther movement that falsely claimed he was born in Kenya. Because to them, falsely labeling the first and only President of the United States of America a Muslim and African immigrant somehow made him less American. Well, I am Muslim. I am an immigrant, and interestingly, from Africa. Is anyone surprised that I am being targeted? Is anyone surprised that I am somehow deemed unworthy to speak about American foreign policy? Or that they see me as a powerful voice that needs to be silenced? Frankly, it is expected, because when you push power, power pushes back. Representation matters. Continuing to expand our ideas of who is American and who can partake in the American experiment is a good thing. I am an American who was sent here, by her constituents to represent them in Congress, a refugee who survived the horrors of a civil war, someone who spent her childhood.
Let's unpack exactly what unfolded and why it hit so hard during that live national broadcast. Rand Paul didn't show up for polite chit-chat. He arrived armed with hard evidence and zero tolerance for Ilhan Omar's rehearsed lines. Right from the opening, he targeted her history of divisive stances and mismatched comments on U.S. foreign policy, border security, and election safeguards. Rather than a tame exchange, Paul methodically exposed glaring gaps between her public statements and actual votes, firing off pointed questions that left her without solid replies. The viewers witnessed it unfold live. This wasn't mere ideological sparring. It was a brutal dose of reality. Omar attempted redirects, standard talking points, and deflections, but Paul stayed relentless, forcing real accountability. That's why so many watchers sat in stunned quiet. That's why online reactions exploded with clips showing Omar hesitating, fidgeting, and grasping for counterarguments. Events like this go beyond entertainment. They highlight the clear divide between leaders who face tough questions head-on and those who duck them on camera. It's fueling massive excitement among grassroots conservatives who see Paul's bold style as a breath of fresh air for patriots tuning in via TV or mobile. If you're craving more videos that expose double standards, spotlight failures, and capture politicians crumbling under pressure, lock in that subscription. This channel never backs down from the truth.